Hello and welcome to our Ranorex webinar, Mastering Jenkins Integration. My name is Andreas and it's a pleasure to be your host today. Let me start with a short introduction and a few facts. The target audience for today's webinar is supposed to be at practitioner's level, which means users with a basic knowledge and at least a little experience of working with Ranorex Studio. Don't worry, there's no need for any preparation. The webinar itself is being recorded and it will be available for you offline afterwards. The duration of today's webinar will be approximately 1 hour. Let's right start into our today's program. We have an interesting and extensive program for today, and I would like to start by telling you what we will learn today. First of all, I would like to point out some key facts and give a common understanding of Ranorex Studio and Jenkins. Then we will prepare a Ranorex test solution I will sync it to GitHub. I will roughly show you how to install and set up Jenkins and install and configure the recommended Jenkins plugins when it comes to integrating a Ranorex test solution into Jenkins. And finally, of course, we will create a Jenkins build project. And I will show you how to do the basic Ranorex build configurations. Of course, we would like to see if this all runs. And so we will build and run a Ranorex test solution out of Jenkins. And at the end, I will show you some advanced settings when it comes to reporting and saving the artifacts and stuff like that. Hopefully, some additional tips and tricks, and of course we will have a quick look at using how to use source control by using Git and GitHub. So this is our program for today, and this is how we're going to start. And let's first of all point out what is Ranorex Studio, so where are we coming from, and what is Jenkins and how do they play together. So the most of you already know that what Ranorex Studio is. Ranorex Studio is an all-in-one tool for test automation, addressed for beginners as well as for experts or programmers. You can build cross-functional within cross-functional teams and perform cross-platform tests. And the more important question is what Ranorex Studio is not. So Ranorex Studio definitely is not a test management system. So this would be the role of something like TestRail, our sister product of Gurok. Ranorex is also not a continuous integration system. So this is where Jenkins comes into play, or where we have already given a presentation of integrating Ranorex Studio into Azure DevOps. And of course, Ranorex is not a source or version control system. This is something where Git takes its role. And so I would like to show you the interplay today between a continuous integration system like Jenkins, source control by means of Git and GitHub, and Ranorex Studio as the test automation tool of your choice. So this is what we're going to do. And what I have prepared for you already is, of course, I have installed Ranorex Studio in its latest version 9.2. I have also installed Git and Tortoise, which is a Git client and which is used by Ranorex Studio when it comes to source control. I also have applied for a free GitHub account, which I will show you right afterwards. And of course, already have downloaded the current Jenkins.var file from Jenkins.io. You also might need some kind of compiler installation on the machine where you run Jenkins, possibly also, of course, a valid Java installation. So this is what I'm already have prepared for you. And so I would say, let's start into preparing a Ranorex solution. I have already opened Ranorex Studio in its current version 9.2, and I have loaded a Ranorex test solution here. which is, yeah, it's a simple database test by means of our demo application. And what the most important thing is, I have prepared 4 different run configurations. I will show you now one of those. So I will choose the one entry database test and run the test just to make you see that it works. And it's Ranorex is now preparing the test solution. It's building the test solution. It's opening up the debug information window. And finally, it will open up, of course, the demo application. So we will wait until, yeah, now it happened. In the lower right corner, you see the run status, and I could pause the test run now. And this is something which you may not be already knowing. With the current version 9.2, we introduced how to pause and resume a test run. And I just wanted to show you what we do here. So I point that out by means of a spotlight here. So here down there you have the run status. It shows us that we are running the desk configuration B1 entry database. Currently it's paused. Here we have the demo application where we now insert one entry into the database. We insert it into the databases list, and the test case is about to validate if this counter here increases from 0 to 1. So this is what the test case is all about. So I resume it by pressing the end button again. And so let's see, it should be, oh, we started here, yes, by inserting the sales department. Now we are inserting the entry, validating, deleting the entry again. And finally, we end up in a hopefully, yeah, successful test report. You could see here we have a test report here where we tested the one entry database. So this is not what we focus on today, but I wanted to show you that it is working. And I could switch to the last one here. And what I also would like to do now is I would like to open up the data source of there's one part which is the data-driven test here, and I step into the data source, and we have 8 different data sets in here, and I will simply specify the range from, let's say, 2 to 4. This is just to ensure that the test run will not be that long, so that we only have a short test run when it comes to building the test out of Jenkins. So what we're gonna do first now, first of all, we're gonna prepare our test solution and bringing it under source control. So this is something which I would like to include into this webinar here. So I step into the project file path, into the solution. I right click here and I add my solution to source control. And here I could choose between Git Subversion or the Microsoft Team Foundation server. So we're going for Git today. So I select it. Then we are asked to whether to choose or not to use the Ranorex Magic Merger. This is a small tool which helps you fixing sync problems when it comes to source control. So it's recommended to use it. So I save it and I proceed. And nothing happens so far, because now we only have installed our source control, but now we perform our first commit. So I again right click here on my solution, I commit it, and yes, I need to save the file, so which I have done here. And now let's do an initial commit on my local repository with all the files, and simply click commit. And that's what's happening now. Ranorex Studio is using Tortoise as the executing tool for Git. And finally, we have committed all our files into the local repository. We close it. And what you could see now here is within Ranorex Studio is all these icons here with the checked mark here shows you that the commit has now performed to the local repository. So this is what has been done here. And of course, I have it here in my local repository. I stored everything in a folder called local repo. I have it here in my I have this solution which is called Ranorex Desktop Sample Solution, and here you have the .git folder showing you that it has been put under source control. So this is what I have prepared for now, and what we're gonna do now is, we're gonna push it onto the GitHub. And this is what I would like to show you now. Here I have a browser window. I have already signed in into my GitHub account, and I'll start a new project there, and I will call it Ranorex Desktop Sample. And it's a public project, and I simply create the repository now. And as you could see now, what is important is we are here at our first setup page, and what we need is now this link to tell Ranorex Studio where to push to. So I simply click on the copy button here, and now we are preparing the push option. So we push our project from the local repository onto GitHub. So I right click again on my solution, go to source control and select the push button here. And I'm pushing to a remote destination, which I simply configure here. So I call it my GitHub here, for instance. I insert now, I paste it from my, here we have it, from the clipboard. I paste it in here, and now I have here the link, which is my repository link from the GitHub account hits where I have it. So I place it in here, I edit, and I click OK. And now I can perform a push, which I click here. And again, Tortoise is used as the executing tool. And I'm pushing now my Ranorex solution from the local repository up to my GitHub account. And this is the central place where I will retrieve it when it comes to my Jenkins integration. So you can see I have now pushed my Ranorex test solution onto GitHub. How here you can see it was a successful push. So what I do is I close this window now, and I can also close now my Ranorex Studio here. So I simply close my Ranorex Studio, and again, let's have a look at my GitHub. So I perform a refresh here, I reload the page, and what you could see now is that my Ranorex test solution has successfully been uploaded into my GitHub account. I should mention that for the moment, I have not installed any git ignore files, so I'm simply pushing all the files on there, no matter if they are temporary, if they are necessary or not. I simply put all the files from my project onto here, so I don't distinguish between necessary ones and non necessary ones. So this is something which you could do if it's on your own. So yeah, well, that's what we've done. So let me stick on to my agenda. I like to stick on agendas are great because then I don't get stuck in explaining too much. So what we have done so far is I have already given you some key facts about Ranorex Studio and Jenkins and source control and so on and so forth. And we prepared our Ranorex test solution into GitHub. So we synced it into GitHub, and now we are ready to install our Jenkins CI system and install the recommended Jenkins plugins. So what I have done is if you step into jenkins.io, you may come to the downloads folder of the CI system here. And what I have done here is I have downloaded, you could go for any of these here, depending on which platform you would like to install Jenkins, but I've gone for the generic Java package here, the web archive package. So this is what I have downloaded already, and this is what I have prepared in a folder which is called Jenkins. So I have already placed it in here into the program files Jenkins folder. This is the var file, and this is something which I now simply start. So I'm here in this folder, and I simply type in here now java -jar jenkins.var and hit the return button. And now I should say, usually you don't have a local instance of Jenkins running on your computer. Usually you may have running it on a server within a network. So for the sake of simplicity, I have installed a local instance now, and we're waiting for Jenkins to be started, and this will be indicated by an information here. Here we already have it. Jenkins is fully up and running. So this indicates that the Jenkins server is now running locally on my machine. So what I can do now is I simply can access it, and that's how I do it. So I step into the local host, and yeah, I'm on the landing page to log into Jenkins. It's maybe it's interesting to tell you that once you do that initially for the first time, then you're asked to to configure a login account, and an automatic download of the default plugins, Jenkins plugins, is also started afterwards. And this is then where you start. You start with your account here. So I'm logging in with my username and the password, and hit the return button. And where you will land is the Jenkins projects page here, the home view of Jenkins. So we're just waiting for the page to be loaded. Here we go. So this is the image you will more or less see once you created an account, downloaded the default and installed the default Jenkins plugin, which goes automatically along with the installation process. And this is where you will land once you log in with your account. And what we're going to do first is I would like to show you now the recommended plugins which you should be validate that they are there. So we are stepping into managing Jenkins, manage Jenkins here. And there's one option which is called manage plugins. It always tells you once plugins are new plugins or plugin updates are available. What you have here is a register panel with the updates, with the available plugins, the installed plugins, and some advanced settings, which we do not need at the moment. And as I already have done, I step into the installed ones. And yeah, I will go down a little bit here to show you what should be installed and should be validated here. So we have a GitHub plugin, which is it's a default plugin, which usually comes with the installation here. You should also have the JUnit plugin be installed, which will enable us to have a look into test results within Jenkins here. And then what is very important here to install is the so-called MS-Build plugin, because Ranorex is compiled through a Visual Studio project, and it's referenced a solution file, the Microsoft Visual Studio solution file. So it's necessary to install the MS-Build plugin. And of course, when it comes to Ranorex and our support for Jenkins, it's also necessary here to install and configure the Ranorex test execution plugin. So once you go into the Jenkins marketplace and search for Ranorex, you will be informed about the Ranorex test execution plugin, and then you're asked to download and configure it. So this is the download and basic installation of the necessary or recommended plugins. And what you also need to do right afterwards is to perform two simple global configurations. So the first is a global tool configuration, which is within the Manage Jenkins section. Here, we simply need to tell Jenkins where to find the .NET environment. So what you need to do here is give it a name. So again, for the sake of simplicity, I gave it the name of the current version of my installed .NET framework. And then you need to type in the path where your .NET framework locally on your machine is installed here, or on the machine where Jenkins is running, so that Jenkins can find the compilers and everything which is needed to build a project here. This is what you need to type in here, and then you need to save it. And what we else need to do is within the Manage Jenkins is a configuration when it comes to Ranorex. So we configure the system, and what we find here is a very simple checkbox for the Ranorex solution. So yeah, although it's running locally, it's pretty lasting long here. So what we have here, there are dozens of different settings here which I ignore for the moment. I just would like to explain you the necessary one when it comes to Ranorex solutions integrating here, and this is where we have it now. So here we have the Ranorex integration, and you should verify that this checkbox is checked here. So this is what we need to do at the beginning. So when it comes to the installation of Jenkins, you need to install some recommended plugins. And again, when it comes to my agenda, first of all, you need to download your installation file from Jenkins, and then you need to install and configure the recommended plugins, which are mainly the JUnit plugin, the MS Build plugin, and the Ranorex Test Execution plugin. So this is, with these 3 plugins, you are well prepared to create a Jenkins build project, and this is something we will do in a moment now. So let's go for creating a project within Jenkins here. So you either could go for create a new job or create a new item. We will give it a name. So you see, I already tested it out sometimes here. So we call it Ranorex Desktop Sample Solution. And when it comes to Ranorex, it's a freestyle project. So there are different project templates here, but when it comes to Ranorex, it's a freestyle project, and I simply click OK and let Jenkins prepare a first project in here. And again, what you have here is now opened a number of different settings for the project. And I don't explain all the ones in here. This is far beyond the scope of today's webinar. I will focus on the most important ones. And the most important one for the moment is to tell Jenkins where to get the Ranorex solution from. So this is the source code management where it comes to Git. And this is where we again need to insert our Git repository here. So again, I copy it from here and I place it into here. I'm pasting it from the clipboard, and I need to again add some credentials because this is a qualified GitHub account which comes along with some credentials, and this is the most important thing. Now Jenkins knows where to retrieve our Ranorex solution from, so I click Save for the first thing. Unfortunately, whenever you click Save, you are back on your projects page. So if you want to configure some things again, you need to step into configuration again, which I will do. And I will show you some other things now which we need to configure. So the first thing, or the second thing afterwards, is of course we need to create a build project. So what we're going to do now is we need to add a build step, and we need to add a build a Visual Studio project. So this is what we need. And this is very simply configured. So first of all, you need to select among the different build versions. So this is where we did the global tool configuration, and I need to type in the name of the Visual Studio solution file, and you will find it in the GitHub. So this is our, let me point that out with the spotlight. So here we have the solution file. It's has the ending SLN, and it's called Ranorex desktop sample.sln, and this file is the file which we need to insert here. So it's called Ranorex desktop sample.sln. Well, again, we could save this. Yeah, and what is left to do now is, of course, configure the basic setting of a Ranorex solution. So again, we need to add another build step, which is called now run a Ranorex test solution. So I go for that and have another one here. And what I need to do now is here in the simplest form, I need to type in the test solution file, which should be executed. So this could be found in the projects folder, which is called database test. And then usually Ranorex stores it in the so-called output folder, which is the bin debug folder. And now, yeah, again, we could go into the GitHub account, step into the solutions folder, into the output folder. And again, here we see it. It's, let's search for the, here we go. It's the database test.rxtst file. This is the test suite file, which is used to be executed. So let's step back here and go into here. So it's called database test.rxtst. So in its simplest form, this is everything which is needed. And we have now created a basic Ranorex solution within Jenkins, and we are ready to let it run. So what we're gonna do now is we simply type in here, build now. So we have different menu items here, and building now starts the project to build. So what you could see here down there is that Jenkins is preparing the first build. It's indicating the progress by an animated GIF here, and we are waiting now for the build process to be ended and the test solution to be executed. So we will see something which is quite similar. Now you could see it as running Ranorex from within Ranorex Studio. So what you could see is now it's opening up the demo application. In the lower right corner, you see the run status. And what you also could see is that we are running the run configuration, the fourth one with all the test cases. So again, I would like to make a pause now. So I paused the test run by hitting the end button just to show you what happens here. So we are you can see the run status there, and what you can see right below my spotlight is here. The run configuration is the fourth run configuration. It's running all the test cases, and this is the default run configuration, which was stored when I last pushed my Ranorex solution onto the GitHub. And now it's paused, and again, I'm hitting the end button to continue now. So what you could see is now that we are running the third test case, which inserts the data-driven test with, I guess it's 3 entries which are inserted here, so it won't last that long. And yeah, let's wait for that to finish. So we are already deleting the test entries from the database and ending up. So you could see Jenkins ended now the test solution. And finally, the progress bar here is replaced by the date and time of the test run. And we could step into the test run here and see a small overview of what has happened. So we have a build number 1. It was today at 10:29. It was started by me as a user. There was just a revision number from the Git. And we have a direct access, but there's no report and nothing in here because we have not yet set up and configured anything. But what we have is we have a direct access to the console output, which has been done during the test run. So what you could see is that the build has been started by me, and there's lots of debug information, including warnings and stuff like that. So I'm searching for the Ranorex summary down there below somewhere. So I'm scrolling down. Here we go. Here we have the Ranorex summary where you could see the version number of the plugin, which test suite file has been executed, and yeah, some other information in here too. And then from down there, we see the Ranorex test execution. So you see the console debug output of what has been executed when it comes to the Ranorex solution. And finally down there at the end, it's finished with a success. So this was the basic setting, the basic starting of a Ranorex test solution out of Jenkins. So let me step back now. Yeah, here we are. And there's some overview here. So this is our project with the workspace and the recent changes. There are the last builds here. And there usually is a list of builds with dates and times and what has happened there. And yeah, I would like to now, again, stick on my agenda. So what I have showed you so far is we created a Jenkins build project. We basically did some settings within the Ranorex build configuration, and we finally built and ran the Ranorex test out of Jenkins. And what I would like to spend the next 20 minutes with is to show you some advanced settings, so to make it more useful. So how to access a Ranorex report, how to download it and stuff like that. So this is something which I would like to show you in the remaining time of this webinar. So let's first start with, specifying some things in here. So I again step into the configuration part of my project. It's worth mentioning that when it comes, for example, to Azure DevOps as a CI system, the configurations are all made within the pipeline, and then the pipeline is executed through an agent. When it comes to Jenkins, all the configurations are directly made with the project. So what I do now here is I step into the project and I do my settings in here, mainly within the Ranorex test suite advanced settings. So what I open up here is the advanced settings of my Ranorex plugin. And the first thing I could do is I could choose a run configuration to execute. So what you have seen before is that the default run configuration, which has been selected when I pushed my project into GitHub, was selected, and I could override this now and insert a run configuration in here. So this is something which I would like to show you in here. So let's open up the test. What I do now is I open up the local solution on my local computer here into Ranorex Studio just to show you the available run configurations. So again, this is what was before. So what I have here is 4 different run configurations. And what I will do is I would like to choose the second one. So it's B1 entry database to make the test run a little bit shorter. So this will be the run configuration which we choose now. So again, I end the Ranorex Studio and step back in here. So I type in here B1 entry DB. So this is the name of the run configuration of the test run. And what I also would like to do now is I would like to include some test results within the Jenkins project. So I activate the JUnit compatible report here, because usually test results are parsed and displayed through the JUnit format across many third-party systems, and this is also comes true when it comes to Jenkins. And what I need to do now is also to add some post-build action, so some action after my build has been finished, and it's the published JUnit test result report. So this is the first post-build action which I need to come along with when it comes to reading some, parsing some JUnit report here. And I need to insert here the XML file of the JUnit report. So it's within the database test solution folder. And of course, it's in the output folder. So it's in the bin debug folder. This is where Ranorex usually stores the reports, and it's all the XML files which we need there. So let me double check if everything is working fine here. So yes, we're searching for the JUnit test report in the output folder of my solution, and it has the ending XML, and we have activated the JUnit compatible report, making Ranorex Studio, the Ranorex solution, create a JUnit report, and I save the settings now, and let's run, or let's create another build now. So what you can see is now that the second build has been started now, and we're waiting for the build to be finished and the solution to be executed. And this is indicated by when the demo application started. This is now. As you can see now, I paused the execution now, just to show you now here that here, just below my spotlight, you could see the run configuration, and it's now not all, it's not the all, it's B1 entry database. So the selection of the run configuration has already succeeded. So I resume the test run and let the solution further execute. So there's one entry inserted now, the database count is validated, the entry is deleted again, and we are finished. So we're just waiting for Jenkins to finalize the job. What Jenkins is doing now is adding the JUnit report and parsing it. So once I step into the second build now, I have my test results in there now. So you could see we have the testing result in here. So I could step into it. I have some information about the duration of the test, about the failures, the warnings and stuff like that. I could step a little bit deeper and gain some more information out of the console output and aggregate it into my test result in here. So this is possibly not everything which we wanted to have, but it's a first step towards what we have. And this is what I wanted to show you in the first part now. What we also can do now is we go a little bit further and do some other advanced settings. What I would like to do now is I would like to show you, you could rename your individual reports now. By now, we have report names just like Ranorex Studio creates the report names by date and time and stuff like that. And what we are gonna do now is make it a little bit more individual when it comes to Jenkins. And fortunately, Jenkins prepares some environment variables which I would like to show you. So let's open up a new browser window and go for the Jenkins documentation. I would like to present you this link a little bit later at the end of this webinar too. So it's wiki.jenkins.io, display Jenkins building a software project, and down there we have a list of so-called environment variables which you could use to rename report files, for instance, within a Jenkins build. So you have the build number here, the job number here, build tag, Jenkins URL and stuff like that. So all these environment variables could be used when it comes to individualizing your report files. And this is what I would like to show you in the next step here. So I'm going for the Ranorex plugin, the advanced plugin here. So first of all, you could specify a a special report directory. So the usual report directory is the output directory. If you would like to, you could specify a separate one. I don't go for that, but I would like to specify a special report file name, and I would do that by means of these environment variables. So let me now copy and paste this from another screen here. So what I do here is now I'm using the job name underscore and the build number as part of the report file name. And I will also create a compressed copy of the Ranorex report, and I will also put it in here. So we have it in here too. And yes, this is what we're gonna do here. And finally, I think I would also like to show you how to make a Ranorex report downloadable. So this is something which we will insert in another so-called post-build action, which means archiving artifacts. So we will prepare the Ranorex reports to be downloaded. So we will use the archive artifacts, post-build actions, and tell Ranorex which artifacts, which files to be prepared for a download. So again, I need to type in here the solutions folder, which is database test. And then we need to step into, again, the output folder, which is the bin debug folder. And in there, we specify all the report files which have been created and have the ending .rx anything. And this is what we want to prepare for download. So we save it and we build our third solution now. So we are waiting for the solution to be built and to be executed out of Jenkins. And this will be done within a couple of seconds now. So we are waiting for the solution to be executed. I don't want to pause it. We simply let it run through. So it's inserting one name, validating the counter and deleting the name again, and finally ending up in a successful test solution. And yeah, what we have now is we are preparing the artifacts. So once we step into here, we have a few more things. So what you could see here is that we have some artifacts to download, and the name of the report files here is a combination of what we have done with the environment variables. So it's the build number and it's the job's name. So this is what we have here, and you could simply click it and then it's downloaded to the downloads folder. We could step into the downloads folder and have a look at there. So this is where the compressed report is, and if I double click it, then of course it's opened up and you could see that we have it on here in our downloads folder. So what we have done so far is there's one thing I would like to show you now, and this is to handle over some global parameters. So you even could insert parameters into Jenkins, values of global parameters, and handle them over to Jenkins and the Ranorex solution. So I will do that now. So I step back into the configuration of my project. And again, I step into the advanced options of my Ranorex plugin here. So what you could do here, of course, is some other things here. You could configure the test rail integration. You could add any command line argument which is available within Ranorex Studio. And of course, now you could also hand over some global parameters. This is what I would like to show you. So what we have within the solution here, let me step back and show you that. So let me simply open up the solution in Ranorex Studio again and show you what is available. So we have some global parameters in there. So once I step into the test suite and do a right click for the global parameters, you could see we have some parameters here for the first name, the last name, the department, the age, and the gender. So these global parameters are handed over into the solution and are executed within the test one entry database test case. And this is what I would like to step on here. So what I do here now is I type in the name of the parameter, which is first name for the first one. I simply type in my name. So this is the first parameter. Let's go for the second one. It's parameter last name. And yeah, let's go for my name again. So then we have the third one, which is parameter department. And let's go for the office department. Let's say the fourth one should be parameter age, and I'm 52 now. And the last one is the parameter for the gender, where I put in male. So I have 5 different parameters now, and the values here will override the solutions parameter. So I built the job now, and let's go for the test run. And you could see what's happening when it comes to the test execution out of Jenkins. So Jenkins will provide the values for the global parameters handed over to the Ranorex solution, and the Ranorex solution will be executed with my names and my dates now. So watch out for the demo application. And you could see now it's inserting my data here. So it's Andreas, my name, the office department, and so on and so forth. So it's overriding the values of the global parameters which are stored within the Ranorex solution. And again, we're waiting for the post activities here. And again, here we have it with all the report now being stored. And yes, I think this is what I wanted you to show. So that's everything for today. Let's come into the summary. You will find everything about integrating the Jenkins in our user guide, but unfortunately not at the moment. We will prepare this. We started to prepare the user guide along with the preparation of this webinar, but unfortunately we are not yet finished. So within 1 week's time, you will have the user guide for the Jenkins integration on our online user guide. You could check out for the mastery webinars at ranorex.com/automated testing webinars. What is to be expected next? Within a couple of hours, you will receive a follow-up email, including the video download link. And so you could watch this video for free as many times as you want to. You could share it with colleagues and friends. And if you did not happen to ask all the questions, reach out at webinar@ranorex.com and we will answer every single question. I thank you very much for your attention. My name is Andreas, and it was a pleasure to be here today with you. I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and I hope to see you soon in one of our upcoming webinars. I wish you a great day. Thank you very much, and goodbye.